Hey everyone, welcome to BROfessor and Friends. You are live. Welcome to the show. Man, how'd you like that? How had you just coming through the screen? You were just coming in here at me. I love that.
I love it. I think it looks awesome.
Oh man, that was so funny. That was so funny. I was excited when I made that video. I said I'm gonna change things up a little bit and put this in there.
Yeah, I saw that you stole it. I saw that you stole a little bit of that personal social media stuff. That picture was actually from a Missouri game.
Yeah.
Like I think it was about a year ago that me and my wife went, my kids.
Okay. Well, I forget to warn people every now and then that when you agree to come on the show, all your social media is wide open, it's fair game, and I'm going to take some of it. So you just have to beware. But anyway, hey, thank you for being here, everybody. We have with us Johnathan Muncy from Long Creek Overland. He's agreed to come on the show. He sponsors the show, and man, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of that. But man, you're a busy guy.
Just a little bit, especially nowadays.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for those of us who don't know you very well, and for those of us who are out there watching who don't know you at all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, of course, my name's John Muncy. I'm born in Houston, Texas. So a lot of people think that I'm a big Texas boy, but I actually grew up in Georgia. So, we're fairly good. That's where I met my wife. And, one of my son was born in Georgia. My daughter, of course, was born in California. I was in the military for about 11 and a half, 12 years. And from there into law enforcement, and then from law enforcement into the corporate world. And, nowadays it's a balance between the corporate world, the farming world, and, of course, Long Creek. So.
Yeah. Well, did you ever see yourself owning your own business?
A long time ago, I thought that I really would like that. I would like, I've always wanted to be my own boss, right? But then again, most of us do.
Yeah.
But I never really seen this particular business. I always figured, I'd own some shop, doing something. I really didn't know. I have a lot of interests, which could be a bad thing, but
hey,
I've always seen myself kind of doing that and being a business owner, or at least trying to. And I never thought that it would actually lead to this, and well, here we are. So
yeah. Well, how did you get into overlanding and off-roading and that kind of thing? Where did all that start?
I'm actually fairly new to it. I've always been kind of interested in, I own a Jeep. I've owned another Jeep. And I've always been kind of interested in kind of just being from Georgia. There's a lot of playing in the mud and stuff like that. So I've always wanted to, kind of look at that type of thing and do that type of thing. So I bought a YJ a couple years back, and I think I owned it for maybe a month. I bought it. I rattle can paint job it. I fixed it, made everything work, and then I had some 18-year-old kid come by and was like, "I really like your Jeep. I want to get one of my own." I wasn't attached to it at the point. I was like, "I tell you what." I was like, "You bring me $4,000, it's yours." And kid showed up with a check from dad, and he rolled off with my Jeep. So,
wow.
It's but I've always been interested in that. And then here, I'd say within the last 2 years, I really started. I was kind of bored at night one night at work and just kind of looking around on YouTube and stuff like that. And I just kind of stumbled across an overlanding video, or I was just looking at Jeep stuff because I've always wanted to get back into having a Jeep. And I just kind of stumbled across the overlanding thing. And that led to one, to another, to another, to another. Now my entire YouTube subscriptions are nothing but overlanding stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah. Same here. Same here.
And then, of course, living here in Arkansas, we moved here to kind of help out the family farm and stuff like that. And we ended up, being here in the natural state. I wanted to kind of use it as a get away from it all, kind of go and just relax. And and that's kind of where we ended up. And, I started going, my wife was like, I told her, I was like, I want a Jeep. Of course, I have a truck and she's got her car and her daughter's got a car and all that stuff. And she was like, well, you can't trade in your truck because of the farm work. So she was like, if you want a Jeep, figure out a way to get one, you can get one. So I was like, all right, well, I'll start a company. And now that company has bought the Jeep that I currently have. So
that's awesome. Well, I have a picture of that Jeep right here.
Oh yeah.
Tell us what you've done to it to make it overlanding ready.
Well, as you can see, it's a 2-door.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, most people wouldn't even fathom trying to do necessarily the overlanding thing in a 2-door. It is a little on the tight side, but we kind of make it work. I haven't really, of course, I've got plans to, add the rooftop tent and stuff like that eventually. But currently, I just ground camp and go wheeling with as much as I can, and kind of. I'm one of those rung what you brung kind of guys. So, just kind of everybody's got to start somewhere. So
that's right. That's right. Well, overlanding encompasses a ton of different things. People out there love different parts of it better than others. Some people are wheelers, some people are campers, some people just like to go and get away from it all. What would you say is your favorite part about it?
My favorite part, to be honest, about the whole overlanding thing is the community of people. That is probably my number one favorite part. I haven't met somebody in the overlanding community that I don't like. It's, I've been fortunate enough to meet several folks here in the state of Arkansas and other events and things like that. And everybody's just so nice. That's what I like about it. Nobody's really hateful to each other than a common combined dislike for the side-by-side crowd. But most of us just enjoy each other's company and like going and having fun. And as far as the physical part of overlanding, I like it all. I like camping, I like wheeling, I like I like it all. Whenever I'm on a trip or something like that, I enjoy every second that I'm out there on the trail. So
yeah. Well, how is it having a business that's related to the hobby that you love so much? How are those married together? Because that seems like a dream job, really, to a lot of people.
It is. There is, of course, the added stress and things like that from the business aspect of things. I actually find it hard to get away and go do things. I have to schedule everything around the events that we attend. So it's that part can be a little hectic. But other than that, I mean, I have a blast. I mean, I as long as I find time for myself to actually go out there, spend it with a couple of my close friends, and just go out there and go wheeling and camping. And I think that's really what it's all about for me. So, but having the business and the overlanding, I get to make a lot of good relationships, get to meet a lot of good folks and a lot of fellow business owners that have the overlanding gear and things like that. Of course, I'm kind of in a niche market there that, not everybody's got what I got. And I've had a lot of those businesses reach out to me and, end up getting apparel for their business, their overlanding businesses and things like that. So it marries very well together. And I've been lucky enough to build some very good relationships through it.
That's awesome. Well, I want to talk about the company a little bit more. But before we do that, I want to pause for station identification and say thank you to our sponsors. So stand by.
Hey guys, it's Chris from More Expo.
Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safe. Rhino from Rhino Belt Rod and Custom.
Hey, Jeff with Bad Act Adventure Co. Where am I from Overland Pioneer?
I'm Chef West.
Hey, it's Adam at Step 22 Gear.
Jordan from Anderson Overland.
Walker from Autotronics in West Virginia.
Hey, this is Aaron from Artemis.
Hey, I'm Tyler with Yoda Adventure.
And you're watching.
And you're listening and watching.
You're listening to.
You're watching
The BROfessor. BROfessor.
BROfessor and Friends.
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 Enjoy.
Sponsored by More Expo, April 8th through the 10th, 2022. Linson Solar, U.S. Action Tracks, Big Iron Overland Rally, Artemis Overland Hardware in Springfield, Missouri, Blue Cell Coffee Roasters, and Long Creek Overland Apparel. Thank you for sponsoring our show. Now, talking about and I just want to say thank you to all our sponsors, man. Y'all are awesome, especially you, John, coming on in the last month or so. I truly appreciate that, and I love working with companies like yourself. But I want to know, where did this all start? I mean, where in your mind and when did you think, man, I want to start making T-shirts?
That's kind of a funny thing. While I was trying to figure out a way how to purchase my Jeep and kind of get into the overlanding thing, I was kind of dabbling in T-shirts just for friends. I had some, I've got friends of ours whose kids play football and things like that. And, they're always looking for a customized T-shirt. Hey, I want a T-shirt with my son's name on the back and their number. So I was just kind of messing around one day, and I started looking more into it, watching a whole lot of videos on it and how they're made, a lot of the how it's made videos. And I was like, I think I could pull this off. And then, of course, I talked it over with my wife, and she's like, you know what? She's like, if you want to do it, do it. I really don't care. You do you, have fun with it. And, if you can help some of our friends out, great. So I was kind of, before I got into the overlanding part of it, I was like kind of already making T-shirts, but I wasn't doing it for a quote unquote business. It was doing it for family and friends, just kind of playing around. And then, then I got bit by the overlanding bug, and it's been kind of crazy since then. What I recognized is that the first thing I did, one of the first YouTubers that I started watching was, of course, Grant with Arkansas Off-Road, and Matt McClellan with Ozark Overland Adventure. And so I was really watching their videos and looking at things like that. And I was like, okay, well, I want, if I'm going to start doing some overlanding things, I don't have the money to go buy me a Dometic right now. I'll start with buying a T-shirt and some patches or something like that. So I was like, there's got to be a source somewhere where I could buy a T-shirt. And I could not find one. Not a single one, not one that just said I'm an overlander or overlanding is my hobby or anything. I couldn't find anything anywhere. Google's pretty vast, but to find nothing, I was like, I was like, maybe that's where I should go. So, and then I started kind of kicking around the idea of opening up, starting a store, an online business. And, the more that I looked at starting the online store and things like that and coming up with my own designs and things like that, I was like, what, it'd be really cool to kind of go and show these at a show to see if there's even any interest, because some people don't like T-shirts. Some people do like T-shirts. So I was like, you know what, let's try this. And that's when I found Rendezvous in the Ozarks. I didn't even know it existed until I looked up Overlanding Expo type shows. First one that popped up was Rendezvous in the Ozarks. I was like, all right, I'm in. Well, I said I was in. First, I had to go have a discussion with the spouse. And I told her, I was like, let me give it a shot, and she was like, okay, I'll tell you what, I give you 2 shows. So if you want to go to this show, go to this show. And then pick one other, and we'll see where it goes. Of course, by this point, I've already invested some money into it and, gotten a press and the whole screen printing equipment and all that stuff, and just kind of start fine tuning the process. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, Rendezvous in the Ozarks, here we come. So last year's Rendezvous was our first ever anything. Between the time that I was preparing for Rendezvous, I went on a part of Natural State Overland's website that had other overlanding expo type shows. And when I saw that, for one of the first ones that kind of caught my eye was the Midwest, Overland and Off-Road Expo. And I was like, okay, let me look at this. So I went to the website and made contact with Chris, and I was like, all right. And I was like, well, here we go. There's my 2 shows. We'll see what happens. So I went and threw a whole bunch of money on a credit card and got a bunch of blank T-shirts and came up with some designs and kind of fine-tuned the process and printed off. I think I was around 450 or 500 T-shirts. Only had 4 designs. That's a lot of shirts.
That's a lot of shirts.
I was like, well, if it fails, I've got shop rags for the next 3 years. But we'll see where it goes. And we went to Rendezvous. It was received pretty well. It wasn't spectacular, but nobody knew us from Adam's House Cat. It was just me and my daughter out there, having a good time, and it was kind of let's kind of see how this goes. And, the folks that we did meet there, we continue to, a lot of them we continue to talk to this day. And it's just snowballed and grown since there. Right after Rendezvous, it's kind of drinking from a fire hose at this point. But it's definitely grown since then. And, we've kind of getting into how we've grown and how that started to grow is right after Rendezvous, I started looking around and I stumbled across Blue Line Overland. And I was like, being a former law enforcement officer myself, I was like, I'm going to go on here. I'm going to buy some stuff to kind of support what their mission is and do what they do. So I was kind of looking around and I just happened to notice on their website they didn't have T-shirts. So I shot Mason an email and it's like, hey, have you ever thought about having T-shirts? This is John with Long Creek Overland Apparel Company. Of course, that's how we started, was Long Creek Overland Apparel Company. Now it's just simply known as Long Creek Overland. Right. So, but I reached out to Mason and he's like, here's the problem. We've tried to have T-shirts made before, but nobody can print our graphic. I was like, well, if you give me the opportunity, I'd like to try. So he gave me the opportunity to make them, and he was my first. Well, once that kind of took off and did its thing, and I was like, okay, that's when the light bulb hit me. They talk about that light bulb moment in anything that you do, and that's when that light bulb kind of burst at that point. And it was, I was like, okay, I can offer a service now to different types of groups, nonprofits. I really wanted to try to connect with some of the more popular YouTube personalities. And see if that, if I can handle or help any of them. One thing that I did notice with Arkansas Off-Road at that time is he tried to get merch going. I'm guessing from a local vendor or something like that, and he was having trouble getting it. And I was like, hey, look, I can do this for you if you'd like. I met with him at Rendezvous, gave him some information. Like, hey, I'd like to send you an email based on kind of what I'm thinking here. And shortly after Blue Line kind of happened, that's when Grant came. And then right after Grant, I decided that I wanted to try to replicate what I was doing with the Blue Line with a military organization, which is when I connected with Oscar Mike Overland. After that, Matt McClellan and them came on board, and then Tony with Bats Off Road, and then Chad with Moots KL, and I started picking up a lot of the YouTube influencer type crowd. Then we've circled back to some other nonprofits, and I mean and then now it's to the point where not only are we handling all their stuff, but I'm having businesses reach out to me. I've done some work with Opus Trailers on some T-shirts. I'm currently working with Okie Overland. And I'm actually working on their stuff, so they'll have some all new merch there at Rendezvous this year that looks pretty sweet. It's awesome. Super nice. So
I'm happy for Adam and Kayla. They seem to have taken off really good out there in Oklahoma, and real excited for them. I'll be excited to wear some of their stuff.
oh yeah, they're doing really well out there in Tulsa.
Yeah, we went out there for their grand opening, and it was an overwhelming turnout that day. Everybody's very supportive in that area. There's a lot of people that get into the overlanding world in that area, and so I think they're in a good area. I think they'll do really well.
Yes, they are. I think so too, and it seems like it's just growing. Well, overlanding community as a whole is growing.
Oh yeah,
across the entire United States. So
yeah, it's unbelievable how it's exploded in the last few years, and I just don't see it ever going away. How did you come up with the name Long Creek?
That's funny. Well, I live about 3/4 of a mile from Long Creek here in Arkansas.
Oh,
and
well,
it's actually right down here at the end of the road. When I was a kid, I used to go swimming. When I was a kid, I used to go swimming. My grandparents used to take us down there, let us swim in the river. Of course, I didn't know it was Long Creek at that point.
Yeah.
But when I started looking at a map, I was like, okay, Long Creek Overland. Another one of those light bulb things that kind of happens, and it's just the proximity of where I live here in the Ozarks. So
okay, well that makes sense. What do you think that has been what's been the cause for your success up to this point? Because you've really exploded in the last year and really have taken on quite a few a lot of personalities that a lot of us know are on your website. So what do you think is your secret there?
A lot of it is word of mouth within the overlanding community. A lot of that also comes from the relationships that I've built with like Chris Holloway with More Expo.
Mm-hmm.
He's trusted me to handle all of the More Expo merch. So if you picked up a T-shirt at More Expo last year, I was the one that printed it. So he has definitely pushed me, probably more than I thought I wanted to be pushed. When I actually started the website, I called him before Rendezvous last year, and just to kind of talk with him and find out what it takes to go to and be a vendor at the More Expo. And he was like, "You got a website?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You might want to get one, like within a week." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Because when people start hearing about you on the website, it's going to push a lot of traffic your way." I didn't believe him. I was like, "Yeah, okay. Nobody knows me from Adam's House Cat." I was sadly mistaken. I didn't realize how dynamic that would have been. So it kind of just snowballed from there. I've been lucky to connect with a lot of great people and a lot of great personalities, a lot of great businesses. And I think I make it very, I don't know if I'm just an approachable type of guy, but I'm easy to work with. I don't.
Yeah.
I trust folks at their word, and I'm as good as a handshake. So it's and I also back my product 100%. So if there's any problems or issues with the product, like say for instance a particular design for whatever reason didn't press right and it peeled wrong, or it starts to peel in the wash, or there's something wrong with it, I replace it 100%. We started off with a full color graphic with Oscar Mike Overland when we first launched their stuff. And I think we sent out something like 35 hoodies or something like that. Hoodies aren't cheap to make, and and just like they're not cheap to buy either.
Yeah.
And all of them, every single one of them, I guess there was an issue with the way that we were pressing that particular type of ink, and it was something that we had never tried before. So I really didn't know how it was going to act. And every single one of them, first wash, they all started peeling like stickers. And I redid them. I replaced everybody's hoodie. I think I've heard of maybe 5 that never ever peeled. But I replaced all those hoodies on my dime. It's because I'm going to stand by my product. To me, there's no point in putting your name on something if you're not going to stand behind it. So I stand behind everything that I do 100%. So, if I ever have any issues with it, I'm going to fix it. Sometimes it's a little more costly than others, but I think that guarantee, plus the personalities that I know, plus easygoing kind of guy that I am. I just think that a lot of folks tend to draw themselves to that, and I think that right there in and of itself is what made Long Creek very successful.
Well, and you've got another thing going for you too that I highly respect, and that's being a veteran-owned company.
Yes.
You know, you've put that out there that you are a Marine, and I say "are" because my wife's son is a Marine, and even though he's not in the Corps anymore, I am close enough to him to know that there's no such thing as a former Marine. So you're a Marine, you're a veteran-owned company, and to me, that speaks volumes because in a day and age that we have today where people are declining in their word and they're declining in morality and they don't stand behind their product, that tells me right off the bat that you're going to do that. And it means a lot to me. And first, I want to thank you for your service, but I want to thank you for being that kind of guy that will stand behind your product because you are a man of your word because that's how you've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that means a lot.
Test
that means
that
a lot.
one. You have to test that and thank my parents for that one. They're the ones that raised me right, and my wife. She's the one that kind of keeps me on the rails.
Yeah. Well, I tell everybody to this day that my dad's favorite Bible verse is "Spare the rod, spoil the child." He practiced it, so you know it's. I had a conversation today with a principal at a school, and I said there's two things that really work when teaching children: pain compliance works, and fear works. And so
Right.
I was taught both of those right off the bat, early on in life. So for those of us who out there who may not know, and we may have some people in here watching who want to know, say I'm an influencer, how do I get started with your business?
First part is normally just shooting me. A lot of this happens. They'll shoot me a message they'll email me. Or they'll just shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know how to do all this TikTok and on YouTube. I try to YouTube. I'm not very good at it, I don't think. So I'm kind of old school when it comes to the social media thing. I pretty much stick to Instagram and Facebook, and folks will send me a message there, or they'll email me, or some folks get the opportunity. They get my phone number from somebody and just call me out of the blue and say, "Hey, my name is such and such with XXXXXX Overland. We're interested in doing shirts." In fact, right now I'm working with Bill. Cattywample Overland.
Yeah.
Or Cottywample Overland. And right now we're kind of going through some graphics and things like that, but they'll be coming on board here shortly. Boston Overland is another one. Just kind of now it seems like we're reaching out. Yeah, Tony, calling works. That's exactly how Tony with Bats Off-Road got a hold of me. Just I think there was he ordered a shirt or something like that, and then he called me. He's like, "Hey, I got a question." I was like, "Okay, sure." I thought something had screwed up. I thought like the shirt was bad or something like that. And he's like, no. He's like, "I would like to do merchandise. How do we get started?" So I do get, that's mostly how it starts. I really should probably put on my website, for if you would like information, have one of those little fill out card things, but I'm not all that bright.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to figure out how to set it up. But no, I'm actually fairly smart. I mean, my background is I've got a degree in business. I have my wife to thank for that one. Being in law enforcement, I was actually in college or taking college courses to criminal justice. I was on a criminal justice track, and as soon as I left there and went to the corporate world, started doing the corporate job, she was like, "You should change it because you're obviously probably not going to go back to law enforcement. You should probably switch your degree track to business." I did. So, but no, that's the best way to get back on track here. That's kind of the best way that a lot of folks just reach out to me and are like, "Hey, how do I get started in this? What do we need to do to become part of the Long Creek family?" That one happens a lot.
Well, I think it's great because if I was to try to get into this and have my own merchandise, I would have to buy a lot of T-shirts in a lot of different sizes. I would have to stock a huge inventory and spend a whole bunch of money getting this started, or I could just let you do it. And letting you do it seems a whole lot easier.
A lot of folks do that. That was the biggest single point that a lot of people kind of keyed in on when we started doing business with folks, is the fact that they don't have to stock it. They don't have to have a garage full of T-shirts or anything like that. And, you know, we started with just doing the T-shirt stuff. And I was like, I will fulfill as soon as the order comes in. I'll print it, package it, send it off. And, you know, at the end of the month, we'll settle out on how the percentage works. That kind of is how it started. It's of course morphed several times over since then. It's just like any other business and small business. You know, you start to do things and then you hit a wall and figure out that something else needs to be done differently or something like that. So that's been a constant evolving thing. What I term the influencer program. That's definitely changed a lot over the last, I'd say 6 months. But I mean, it's been, you know, that we started with the T-shirt stuff, and then, like Grant had some stickers that he had ordered that he was kind of fulfilling on the side as folks wanted. And he's like, hey, can I just send these to you and you put them on the store? That's when we started offering other things. And he's like, I got some patches. Can I do that too? I was like, absolutely. So then that kind of started snowballing into everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's almost become a one-stop shop for, you know, for any particular influencer that you support or, you know, cause that you support. It's, you know, it's been phenomenal as far as putting all that type of gear in the same spot. No, I don't have, you know, everybody's like Long Creek Overland. So what do you got? What do you sell? Well, you know, do you got camping gear? Do you got, you know, rooftop tents and all that stuff? I was like, nope, just T-shirts and merch and swag type of things. So that's kind of where my niche has gotten me into. And that's kind of been where we've been since then. So
that's cool. Well, you've been to some events here in the recent past. You just got back from Okie Jeep something or another.
Yeah, Okie Jeep Jam in Muskogee, Oklahoma. That was this past weekend.
Jeep Jam. Okay, well, that's cool. We fit right into that since you're a Jeeper. But you got Rendezvous coming up. What can we expect to see at your booth in Rendezvous?
First, before I get that, I'm seeing Jeff's comment down here. Jeff, I know we haven't gotten to hang out yet. That was kind of a funny story. We'll talk about that real quick, and then we'll run into Rendezvous. Jeff messaged me out of the blue, and you know he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be cruising through your area," because I know that Jeff's over there, Mountain Home area, and he was heading out to Moab, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty sweet." And I was like, "Which way is it going to bring you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of coming through here." I was like, "Hey, stop at Lily Hobbs," and he was like, "You know, we could kind of meet there." And I just stopped and talked with him. That was the first time I've ever had somebody reach out to me.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, I know who you are. Would you like to meet up?" I've never had a meetup before. Which, by the way, Jeff, I never got the picture. I know we had one made, but I don't know what happened to the picture that we took. So, anyway, Jeff, I'm almost 100% sure you're going to be at Rendezvous. So when you are, come by and see us. We'll be in the booth for sure. So we can catch up then. Rolling back into what we've got in store for Rendezvous. A lot of folks that seen our booth before, I think at Rendezvous last year, it was a tent, a couple mannequins that had a whole bunch of Long Creek T-shirts on there. This, as I stated, this has kind of evolved. Our booth has evolved. We're now at the point where it's not just about having stocks and stocks and stocks and stocks of shirts. We actually live print on demand right in front of you. So we've been doing that since we tried it at More Expo last year. Then that's gone from the More Expo to I'm getting sidetracked. Joe, I need you to pull that one off. That's
all right. That's all right.
Kristen, I see you. Then we take it off the screen, Joey. Come on now. She's looking at me. Actually, I know she's looking at me. Her and my parents are actually upstairs right now. I'm down here in the basement because I got this cool rock backdrop here.
It is cool rock backdrop. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually upstairs watching this on the screen. So but anyhow, we've got a live pressing thing. We started it at More Expo. We refined it a little at Big Iron Overland Rally, and then we did it at Okie Jeep Jam. If anybody saw us year one at Rendezvous, there wasn't a whole lot of branding. I didn't have a nice cool Jeep that said Long Creek all over it and all that stuff. So this year is going to be pretty spectacular regardless of whether it rains. I know a lot of folks are talking about the rain now that it's supposed to rain. Well,
yeah,
an old military thing is if it ain't raining, we ain't training. So rain's not going to stop us. I'll still be pressing t-shirts. So when everybody gets out there and gets soaked, be sure to come to Long Creek and get you a dry shirt.
Heck
So
yeah.
But no, we are live pressing on demand. The way that it works is basically you come up there to the booth. We have this huge banners, 9 foot wide, and we've got graphics on there that are 1 foot by 1 foot. So this thing is like 9 foot wide and I don't know, 4 or 5 foot tall. It's a huge wall of graphics, and that's what we offer through all of our all of the folks that we do merch for, as well as we've got some new Long Creek designs coming out, or they're not coming out, they're already out. We debuted them at Okie Jeep Jam this last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Those are mostly the Jeep inspired stuff because I own a Jeep and I'm a Jeep guy.
Right.
But also Matt and Kara have some new stuff coming out that we will debut at Rendezvous. So you can't see them on my website. You can't see them anywhere. You're going to have to come by and see them. But we've got some brand new designs from Matt and Kara that will be there and we'll be pressing on site. There's also going to be some changes to some of the graphics. Some of the ones that were traditionally offered in just a white graphic are now offered in other colors and black. But the way that it works is basically you come up there, you pick a design that you like, or you pick the shirt that you like. Anybody that's working the booth in our area are my staff, if you will. It's a whole bunch of friends of mine that are well within the Overlanding community. Tony and Arlo with Bats Off-Road will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Jared from Oscar Mike Overland. They've pretty much been my Long Creek crew. And we kind of go to some of these shows and they just kind of help me work it. The first year I did it by myself and about killed myself. So, but you come up and tell us what size that you're looking for, and I will have plenty of shirts in different colors, both short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts, as well as some hoodies. And we will have all of those ready. You come up there, you look through the color shirts that are there, you pick a color that you like, you pick a design that you like from the wall, and we make it right there in front of you. So it's definitely grown into a customization thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've found that a lot of people they're real receptive to that. It's almost reminiscent of the days where you'd go to the fair and there'd be a guy sitting there drawing caricatures or something like that, or a little booth of face painting or something like that, where it's almost an interactive experience, and that kind of thing has kind of gone to the wayside, or it's gone away. People really doesn't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So not saying that I'm trying to bring that back necessarily, but that kind of customer service, that kind of, it gives people the option. Hey, I really like the way that this is going to look on this color t-shirt. That's what I want. It gives the customer what they're looking for whenever they get to choose how they want it made. So, and they get to see it made. So I mean, when we hand them the t-shirt, as soon as we're done pressing it, the thing's still hot. So on cold days, especially at like the More Expo this last year, airbrush license plates.
I think you need to do it.
Let's start airbrush. I'm gonna start drawing caricatures in the corner of the Long Creek booth. I can draw stick figures. That's about it.
I always wanted an airbrush license plate with my name on it and a couple deer heads like my old country boy buddies had on there.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's where we've grown to, is we have found that kind of immersive experience, if you will, where folks get to come out there, they get to customize things, and they get to see it made and feel the heat of the shirt when it comes off. they know that it's made specifically for them because that's the way that they ordered it. So we've had a lot of success with that in the last couple. So that's kind of been where our whole business model has gone to. Yes, of course, we have the online thing. Those shirts are still pressed as they're ordered. I don't ever press a whole bunch of shirts and just stick them in a bin somewhere. Those are made to order when folks order them. And then the events, doing it right there in front of folks, people really, really like that. So
yeah, that's interesting.
That has shifted everything for the Long Creek business model. So that's kind of what we're going for there, and folks really like it. So
that's awesome. Well, if you're listening out there and you have not registered for Rendezvous in the Ozarks, you need to do that. It's going to be October 14th through the 16th, not this weekend, but the next, up in Bird's Adventure Center. Love to see y'all up there. It's going to be an amazing, amazing event. There's going to be lots of vendors, including Long Creek Overland and Adam Bryant and Okie Overland, who is listening right now, and I appreciate you listening. Adam, we're excited about you being there. You're going to see some new merch for you from Long Creek, and can't wait to see that. That's going to be pretty cool. Well, what else do you have planned after Rendezvous? What's your plans? Some events that you're going to be going to, and where people can see you up close and personal.
Well, let's see. I've got the Rendezvous next weekend, and then
Mason's in the house.
There's the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, the man behind the beard.
Right. Oh, by the way, real quick, one more thing that I want to touch on for Rendezvous. Some of the personalities that we cater to and some of the stuff that we have, those folks will be in the house. I have Matt and Kara that will be there. I forgot exactly what times. But if you go to Long Creek Facebook page, there's a graphic on there that shows what times they're going to be there.
Yeah, meet and greet.
And it's going to be a meet and greet. We're going to have Matt and Kara there both Friday and Saturday at specific times. They'll be able to come in, and folks can come up there, shake their hand, ask them some questions. If you got something that pressing on your mind, of something that you saw in a video or something like that. Mason from Blue Line Overland will also be there at 1 o'clock on Saturday. He's actually going to be, hopefully, 3 p.m. No, you're changing your times around, boss.
I think that's what he's saying, that Matt and Kara are going to be there.
Yeah, they're at 3. Mason is supposed to be in the hot seat at
1 p.m. on Sunday is what he says.
Saturday. Yeah,
Saturday,
he's supposed to be there 1 p.m. Saturday, but if I know Mason, he'll be hanging around the booth most of the day. Tony with Bats Off-Road, Tony and Arla both with Bats Off-Road will be there pretty much all day. They'll be right there kind of helping folks. And come over there because Tony's rig will be right there in the booth. So come over there and talk to him. He's got a really slick built Jeep JT that he just did. It looks pretty phenomenal. And then and of course Arla helps with our booth, so she'll be there all day. Oscar Mike crew will be in and around that area most of the time. Jared will be in the booth pretty much all day, but the rest of the team should be around throughout the day as well. So just to come and learn a little bit about their mission and what they're doing for veterans in the overlanding community, as well as Blue Line and what Mason's doing for the law enforcement officers in that community, and of course some of our YouTube personalities. Grant will also be on site. He'll be over in the Backwoods booth, but he's also there too, so everybody should go by and say hi.
Yeah.
But
with the best mustache in overlanding.
Hey, but he shaved it off. Have you seen it?
No, I have not. Oh,
yeah, he cut it off when he got back from the Expo. So when he got back from Mountain West, I think his wife made him cut it off, but that's cool. As far as where we're going next, we got Rendezvous this weekend. I got a couple of other runs. I've got one with Blue Line Overland that I'm planning on going on. Just kind of these are going to be events that I'm not necessarily vending at. I'm just going to actually get to go and relax for a change. I've got one with Blue Line, and then I've also got Matt and Kara's got a subscriber run coming up, so I'm going to be going on that one. We all need to try to talk Grant into another Jeep.
Yeah.
And then after that, of course, we got the More Expo coming next year.
Mhm.
Between now and then, I actually have an event that this may cater not necessarily more to the overlanding crowd, but more towards the Jeep crowd. I'm currently speaking about the Gilbert Jeep Jam. It's called the Gilbert Jingle Jeep Jam. It's a Christmas type Jeep event down in Gilbert, Arkansas, which apparently is the smallest town in Arkansas. It's right there on the
Wow.
Buffalo River. So I just learned about that one today, and we plan on vending there right there just before the holidays. Then after that, we'll push into the beginning of the year. I've got my feelers out for a couple of shows. There's one, the Southeastern Overland Expo down in Florida, that I'm waiting to hear back from as far as where it's going to be held. I know they're still working out logistics for that one. Last year was their first year. This will be their second year this year. From there, then we go into the More Expo. Of course, we'll be at Big Iron. We'll be at both of those events every year. We do the event search for the Big Iron Overland Rally, as well as all the More Expo merch. And we've got some pretty cool looking stuff coming for More Expo this year.
Awesome.
We're definitely getting into the colored stuff. But it's going to look really awesome. And of course, we'll be making those on demand right in front of folks. So then, of course, we'll roll back into. I've got plans that I want to go to some of the Overland Expo events. I'm also talking with Cindy about doing Core this next year. So we've grown to the point where, you know, a lot of the events are starting to reach out to us. You know, my goal has always been to. I always play the what if game. I'm like, what if this turns into something big? What if this
Yeah.
turns into a 9-line apparel or a grunt style or something
Yeah.
like that? And it's well on its way. It's just it's mind blowing, and I couldn't do it without the support of my family. I couldn't do it without the support of my wife, and I definitely couldn't do it without the support of all of my friends, all of the influencers, all of the businesses that trust their business to me and making sure that their apparel is taken care of. So.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it without them, and I thank them very much for it. So
That's awesome. Well, I feel the same way about the people that support me. You know, it's amazing to have a great support team. It's like nothing else. And like you said at the beginning, what you love about the overlanding world the most is the people, and you know, it's truly a family. It's the people that you run into, the people that you hang out with, even Mason. You know, even Mason. We'll even throw Mason in there. But yeah, I give Mason such a hard time. But I know that if I was stuck in a ditch somewhere, he would drive 1,000 miles to come get me. I just know he would. That's just the way that these guys are, because
yep,
it just blows my
Mason would
mind,
drop
because
anything
that's
to
not
go to
normal.
anybody.
It's not normal
Yeah, Mason,
in everyday
no,
life.
that's not.
Yeah, even Mason. So you heard me.
Yeah. Man,
But
Mason drove all the way up here. I needed some patches and some stickers or something like that. We had something coming up, and it was after Big Iron last year. And I had folks start placing orders for his patches and his stickers, and I was like, "Hey, you took those home with you?" And he drove them all the way up from Ozark all the way up here to Harrison, Arkansas. So I mean, he was like, "Yeah, I'll be up there Saturday morning." Of course, I expected him to show up in a rig, and he showed up in a roller skate, but that's cool. So he's got. If anybody doesn't know, Mason's got this little bitty car that he definitely gets the gas mileage on whenever he's going to work. And then he leaves all of the real gas guzzler at home. So
well, I can't say nothing on that. I've got 2 FJs and a Prius, so I can't say a word about that. And I love my little Prius.
No.
It takes me everywhere.
No, I've got my truck, and I've got that. Sometimes I like to steal my daughter's car, but with her being in college right now, I don't get to steal it as much as I'd like. So
Yeah. Well, Rick says you're in his hometown. Is that where you're at? Are you you're in Harrison? You're in Harrison?
I'm actually just north of Harrison in Omaha.
Omaha. Okay.
Right smack dab between. I'm 6 miles south of the Missouri border.
Okay.
So when I go
that's where they make the
shopping,
steaks, right? That's where you get the steaks
What's that?
from?
No.
The steaks?
No.
That's not
I mean,
where
I've
Omaha
got some
come
steaks
from?
out there walking around in the pasture if you'd like some. But no, they're good stuff. Yeah, no, I'm here just north of Harrison. My normal 9-to-5 job is in Harrison. However, with the way things are growing, I'm hoping that Omaha Eagles. That's right. I'm hoping that within the next year I might actually be able to leave that 9-to-5 job and do this thing full time. So that would allow me to exactly. If you do blink, you will drive through Omaha. You'll miss it. There's not even a traffic light. So, but my goal starting this business has always been to just grow it to the point where I can be my own boss, and I don't have to rely on that corporate job anymore. So, the way that we're growing, it seems like could possibly happen, but nobody ever really knows what's in the cards. So I'm just going to kind of build it, and grow it as I can, and we'll see where it goes. It's already grown way beyond what I ever thought it would. So.
Well, as hard as you work and as good as your word is, I think you're going to get there. You've got a huge base already, and it's got people support you. And I see you everywhere out there now. People are wearing your stuff, and so I think it's going to be a dream come true for you, and I really hope that for you. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're a busy man. It took you a while to get on. We were a little bit late getting on because you were giving a horse a shot, and so you always got something to do. But I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on here and talk to us, and I appreciate everybody that's come on and commented and listened, and I really hope that you'll be at Rendezvous. You'll get out there and go by the booth at Long Creek Overland and have John make you a shirt or two. I think it's going to be fun, whether it's raining or not. I mean, who cares?
It doesn't bother me.
It ain't going to bother me either.
No.
Not going to bother me either. I think
it's going to be awesome. I need to get on that video that you got at the front of this.
Do what?
I need to. The little video that you have.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, I'll be walking around videoing everybody. It was, I did that at Big Iron, but it was so hard because the music was so loud.
Yes, it was.
We'd have to wait till between songs and video something real quick and then run to somebody else because when they moved everybody up to the pavilion up top, I was like, oh, I can't do my videos now. It's so loud. But I was able to squeeze a few in, but I'm definitely going to get you in there along with several others. I'm excited about that. I'll put you at the beginning and at the end because you're that good, and I appreciate you. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I hope to see you at Rendezvous next weekend. I hope you're there. I hope you get out, enjoy life, live the best life you possibly can, and while you're at it, look out for number 1 and don't step in number 2.
Dance, baby, don't stop.
Thank you for watching.
BROfessor.
BROfessor and friends.
Sponsored by U.S. Action Tracks, Muncie Solar, More Expo, Big Iron Overland Rally, Blue Cell Coffee Roasters, Long Creek Overland Apparel, and our good friends at Artemis Overland Hardware. Thank you for watching our show. We'll see you next week.